This segment sponsored by Foster Financial. It's time for another edition of Money Monday with Foster Financial. And today we're going to talk about spending. And if you spend inconsistently, well, guess what? There's solutions for you. And I'm chatting with Caleb Doane, the Vice President of Foster Financial. Good morning, Caleb.
Good morning.
Welcome back.
Thanks very much for having me.
Okay, so I think this is probably an issue that most people have, inconsistent spending, trying to get the budget in line. And so that leads us to the topic today, which is?
Yeah, so we're just going to talk about variable spending throughout the year, right? So I think a lot of people understand the idea of, keeping a monthly budget, and it's something that isn't necessarily required for everyone in retirement by any means, but it is an important input that we have to our financial plans. We at least need to have a rough idea of what people are going to spend in a typical month. And I think a lot of times the struggle that people might have with creating a budget is that it feels like it's constraining you to a certain amount of spending every single month. You're like, hey, there's different things that come up every month that are miscellaneous that you can't necessarily plan for. And so there are a lot of reasons why we like to have a rough idea of the budget, but the main one is just being able to tell people when they can retire or, if they need to work an extra couple of years, because we need to make sure that you're able to keep that same standard of living in retirement that you had while you were working. And so I think the issue that oftentimes we run into is that when people estimate their budget or what their monthly spending is going to be, they'll focus on the fixed spending, so maybe they have car insurance or their mortgage or life insurance premiums, very known expenses that are recurring every single month, right? You know that you're going to get your $15 Netflix charge every single month, and you know exactly what it's going to be.
And then the next month it's going to be $17.
It's going to be, yeah, exactly right. It goes up all the time. And then you have, the expenses that are very consistent, like groceries or something like that. It's not an exact dollar amount, but it's probably, roughly within, 10 or 15% every single month. And then there are those total miscellaneous expenses that you're just not anticipating. All of a sudden you have to replace your brakes on your car or whatever it might be, these things that come up that you might not be anticipating. And so I think those are the ones that oftentimes get left out of the budget. And so typically when people come in, they might be underestimating the expenses that we have. And so one of the solutions that we have for that is we'll have new clients, when they come in, we'll have them send us bank statements, credit card statements, checking account statements, all of that for the past 2 or 3 years, so that we can really analyze it and say, hey, here are the months where your spending is a little bit heavier. Maybe it's the summer months because we're traveling, we're enjoying the weather, we're camping, whatever it might be. Maybe it's, around Christmas time because we're buying gifts and doing things like that. But it can help us anticipate what your true expenses are.
Maybe it's 2026 when gas inflates.
Right, it's $5 a gallon. So.
Who knows? So random. But so let's set this up a little bit. Doing this step is to prepare for retirement, right? So what you're doing is looking at people's monies to see what they can afford. You all don't really focus on an average young person's general budget.
I'd say even when clients come in when they're younger, we put together a contribution plan to see what their budget should be so that they are saving an appropriate amount for retirement. So I'd just say it looks a little different depending on what stage you're at. If you're really young, oftentimes we're trying to solve for how much do you need to save, and then you can spend the rest. When we're getting closer to retirement, we want to just take a look at what you're spending right now, because you're probably used to spending that for the last 10, 15, 20 years, and so we want to make sure that can continue into retirement. And then even in retirement, we're taking a look at your budget to say, hey, as your financial advisor, how much do I need to send you every single month? Do you want me to send that to you monthly? Should that be bi-weekly like it was when you were working? Do you want a little bit more in the summer months than in the rest of the year? And so we just want to make sure we're planning appropriately for all of our clients. And the big thing is we want to make sure that you're able to keep your same standard of living. If you're used to going out to eat a certain amount of times every single month, we want to make sure you can continue doing that in retirement and give you an appropriate expectation of what that's going to look like.
So a little piggyback on something that you said, as you look at these statements and accounts, that there could be a fluctuation at different times of the year. So let's say summer months is higher because of whatever. When you're getting those withdrawals from your investment accounts, Are they the same every month, or can they fluctuate with your budget?
Yeah, we can absolutely adjust them according to somebody's budget. Yeah,
Okay.
so we might know that, hey, somebody's camping for these 3 months in the summer, or they're going to the lake house or something like that, and there's
Right,
more
yeah.
expenses associated with it. So we can certainly increase the withdrawals to accommodate that. We'll also have our clients keep an emergency fund just in their checking or savings account, right? So I mean, that can absorb some of those additional costs as well.
Right.
But all that to say, we want to make sure that these financial plans are very, very tailored to the individual person. I think people are kind of used to, if they haven't worked with a financial advisor, their 401k might just be in a target date fund. That's a very general fund for their specific age group, but it's not tailored to them individually. And so people sometimes have this separation where they feel like their finances are not completely custom to them, and we want to change that. We want to make sure that your financial plan is extremely custom to you specifically, your financial habits, your needs, your specific goals. And so we just want to let people know that that is an option, and we can certainly help them with that.
I have an interesting question for you. If people are solely relying on their 401k for retirement, is there like a certain age or a certain amount that you need to be contributing at a certain age to get to the point of retirement, or does the 401k never actually reach you to that and you really need to consider additional savings and investments?
Yeah, I'd say that there really isn't a specific rule of thumb for everyone, because it depends when somebody's planning on retiring. It depends how much money they need. It depends how much they're getting from Social Security. It depends if their spouse has, a pension, or if they even have a spouse in the first place.
Right.
So I think the difficulty is that there's really not just an exact
Like a
rule of
blueprint,
thumb.
right.
Yeah, for everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone is completely different, which is why it's really important to do that analysis early, because of course the earlier that you start, the less you're going to need to contribute over time, because the more time that money has to grow in the market.
Grow, and you can get used to that savings plan when you start early. Go to an investor, because that's the thing. It's like you think, oh, I don't need a financial planner until later in life, but really the benefits really start young, because then you're getting used to it. You're developing a pattern. You know what you need to do to retire. Right,
exactly. Yeah, the earlier you start, typically the earlier you actually can retire.
Okay,
so I mean, that money that you invest from 25 to 35 is going to grow the most over the course of your working years.
Wow.
Certainly a lot more than the money that you're investing when you're 60 years old and looking forward to retirement. Yeah.
Well, you've given us a lot to think about.
Great.
So thank you, Caleb.
Absolutely.
And if you would like more information about Foster Financial and how to start your financial planning journey, we'll have their website and their phone number listed below, and I'll see you after the break. This segment sponsored by Foster Financial.